Have you ever poured your heart into a relationship only to feel invisible? Have you sprinted after someone you cared about so fiercely that you lost all sense of your own direction? Imagine instead walking into a room and feeling every eye drawn to you, not because you demand attention, but because you radiate a presence that can't be ignored. Picture the power of living a life so rich and so unapologetically yours that people don't just notice you, they want to be part of your world. This is not a fantasy. This is the path of the man who understands love as a dynamic of presence and absence, of value and scarcity, of mystery and revelation. This is the path laid out by Machiavelli, not as a guide to manipulation, but as a masterclass in reclaiming your sovereignty and transforming yourself into the prize that others seek. Think of attraction as a silent contract. You offer intrigue, strength, and mystery, and in exchange, you receive respect, desire, and genuine connection. When you flood someone with compliments and attentions, you become like water poured into a sponge, absorbed without a trace, taken for granted, easily forgotten. But when you stand firm in your purpose, honoring your time and your energy, you become like a rare gem locked in a vault. Suddenly, the effort to access you becomes an act of devotion. And this brings us to our first hidden rule. Rule 1. Become the prize. You must live a life so full, so purposeful, so irresistibly magnetic that no invitation you extend feels desperate, because you don't depend on acceptance. You wake before dawn, not to chase someone's approval, but to honor the promises you made to yourself. You train your body, not to impress, but to discipline your mind and strengthen your spirit. You dive into books, not to flaunt your intelligence, but to deepen your understanding of the world and sharpen your vision. And in doing so, you cultivate authentic scarcity. You become the man who doesn't send follow-up texts. You become the man who doesn't rearrange his schedule on a whim. You become the man with a center of gravity so powerful that others can't help but orbit around you. This is not some game of manipulation. It is a brave act of self-respect. When a woman sees that you have plans, real plans, she realizes you are not there just to serve her whims. You have standards, you have boundaries, you have a life that spins on its own axis, and she must step into your gravitational pull if she wants to share your orbit. Suddenly, the chase is reversed. She finds herself drawn to you, craving your attention, eager to earn a place in your world. And in that reversal, you discover something profound. True attraction is born from self-mastery, not self-abandonment. But being the prize is only the beginning of your journey. Scarcity alone can spark curiosity, but mystery sustains desire. And that brings us to our second hidden rule. Rule 2. Embrace silence and mystery. Too many men spill their emotional guts on the first date, thinking that maximum transparency equals maximum connection. They share every heartbreak, every childhood wound, every lofty dream, all before dessert arrives. But here's the unforgiving truth. When you reveal everything, you leave nothing to discover. Desire thrives in the fertile ground of the unknown. Mystery is the spark that ignites the imagination. It's the dimly lit corridor in an old mansion. Every turn hints at something hidden, something precious. You let her enter one room at a time. You let her marvel at the antique portrait on the wall. You let her wonder what lies behind the ornate oak door at the end of the hall. Holding back isn't about deception, it's about reverence. You safeguard the sacred chambers of your soul, the memories, the dreams, the scars that require respect and trust to unlock. You reveal only what adds depth to the connection, piece by piece, chapter by chapter. And in that slow unveiling, you craft a narrative that she can't help but follow. Your words become carefully chosen artifacts, each one pointing to a richer story waiting to be explored. You become the man who doesn't need to shout his greatness. His silences speak volumes, and she leans in, eager to listen, eager to fill the spaces with her own curiosity and desire. Imagine the intoxicating power of a man who, with a single glance, conveys both strength and vulnerability, both depth and restraint. That is the power of mystery. That is the power of selective revelation. That is the power of a narrative that unfolds in slow motion, page by tantalizing page. As we journey deeper into these hidden rules, I invite you to pause this video. Take a moment to breathe and reflect on where you've given away your power. Then, when you're ready, hit that like button, leave a comment sharing which part of this message resonates with you most, and subscribe to this channel if you're committed to rising above average and mastering the art of attraction. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss our fearless, life-changing insights. Now let's continue. The third rule is where many stumble, because it demands the hardest work. Master your emotions. This is not about becoming cold or detached. It's about becoming sovereign over your inner world. It's about feeling deeply, but responding wisely. Picture a mighty oak tree standing tall through a tempest. The wind bends its branches, but the trunk holds firm, rooted deep in the earth. That oak is not indifferent to the storm, it simply refuses to be broken by it. Your emotional discipline is your root system. When disappointment strikes, a date cancelled at the last minute, a message left on read, a flirtatious test, your first instinct might be panic, anger, or insecurity. But you pause, you breathe, you remind yourself of your mission, you choose a measured, calm response. Emotional sovereignty is rare. Most men either wear their hearts on their sleeves or hide behind humor and bravado, never showing the real man beneath. Neither extreme inspires genuine attraction. Instead, you cultivate controlled strength. You let her see your humanity, your kindness, your empathy, without exposing your desperation. You show your vulnerability in small doses, at the right moment, to the right person, under the right circumstances. You never allow external circumstances to dictate your internal state. You rule your emotions like a wise emperor, dispensing justice with calm precision. And that calm radiates outward, drawing others into your aura of stability. When a woman sees a man who doesn't crumble under the slightest provocation, she senses depth, she senses character, she senses a rock she can lean on, not a feather that collapses at the gentlest breeze. And suddenly, you become not just attractive, but indispensable. Now, let's build on that solidity with the fourth hidden rule. Set boundaries with elegance. A man without boundaries is like a kingdom without walls, open to invasion, easily trampled, and ultimately worthless. Respect is the womb of desire, and boundaries are the walls that protect that sacred space. Women test boundaries, sometimes consciously, often unconsciously, to see if you truly value yourself. When she cracks a joke that cuts too deep, do you laugh it off? Do you swallow your pride to keep the peace? If so, you lose respect. But when you calmly, respectfully stand your ground, I appreciate your humor, but that one doesn't land for me. You do more than assert yourself. You signal that you have self-worth, that you control your territory. Boundaries are not about aggression, ultimatums, or drama. They are about self-respect and dignity. They are clear lines that say, you are welcome here, up to this point. Beyond that, we part ways. And when you communicate them with calm elegance, a slight smile, steady eye contact, a composed tone, you turn setting limits into an art form. She sees your confidence, she sees your honor, and she feels safe enough to let her guard down, curious enough to explore the territory you've so thoughtfully mapped out. Boundaries also filter out those who aren't aligned with your values. When you refuse a last-minute plan that conflicts with your commitments, you're not being petty, you're honoring your own time and purpose. That decision tells her, I choose my mission over momentary desire. And that level of integrity, that unwavering commitment to your own life, becomes profoundly attractive. All right, we're nearing our final rule, but first, if you're still with me, take a moment to smash that like button, drop a comment about which boundary you struggle most to maintain, and subscribe if you haven't yet. We're building a community of men who refuse to be average, who refuse to be desperate, who dare to live as sovereign beings. Hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Now, let's move on to the crown jewel of these hidden rules. Rule 5. Reclaim your sovereignty. Everything you've learned so far, becoming the prize, embracing mystery, mastering your emotions, setting elegant boundaries, culminates in one profound truth. Your ultimate power lies in your sovereignty. A sovereign man depends on none. He is not shaped by the approval of others, but shapes his own destiny. He wakes before dawn, not for someone else's validation, but to honor the promises he made to himself. He trains his body, sharpens his mind, and elevates his spirit, all in service of a mission greater than momentary affection. When love arrives, it finds him as an empire, not an empty lot. When she steps into his world, she does so not to complete him, but to celebrate the greatness he's already built. This is maturity in its rawest form. You don't need love to define you. Instead, you invite love to join you in a victory lap around the legacy you're creating. Imagine the magnetic pull of a man who stands tall in his purpose, whose life pulses with meaning. Every step he takes echoes with confidence. Every decision he makes reverberates with clarity. Women don't just admire this man, they revere him. They feel safe, they feel inspired, they feel driven to match that level of passion and integrity. And in that shared pursuit, genuine connection is born. Let me remind you, these 5 hidden rules are not comfortable. They are not easy. They demand you bleed in silence a few times, to make mistakes, to feel the sting of rejection, to stand up again, to breathe before speaking, to honor your ground without aggression. But with each step, you reclaim a piece of yourself that the world, often unconsciously, tries to erode. Your sovereignty, your dignity, your purpose. So here's your challenge. Today, choose one rule and embody it fully. Maybe you spend the next 24 hours without chasing. No follow-up texts, no frantic calls. Maybe you hold a piece of yourself back in conversation. Reserve one intriguing story for next time. Maybe you catch yourself when emotion surges and pause before reacting. Maybe you draw a boundary you've been avoiding. Maybe you rise before dawn to honor your mission. Then journal what happens. Notice the shift in energy. Notice the new respect and curiosity you attract. Because when you apply these rules, something shifts deep inside you. You stop being prey. You stop begging. You become the prize. You become the man who doesn't chase love. Love chases you. You become the man who doesn't need to prove anything. Your life proves it all. Now, let's wrap this up with a final, fearless truth. To be desired is to be sovereign. When you honor your value, guard your heart, and pursue your purpose with relentless discipline, you ignite a fire in others that no technique or trick could ever match. You become unforgettable. You become unstoppable. Drop a comment below sharing which of these 5 rules you're committing to today. Share your breakthroughs, your questions, and your victories. Smash that subscribe button to join our tribe of fearless men who refuse to settle for mediocrity. Support the channel by sharing this video with a friend who needs to hear this message. Be the prize, be the mystery, be emotionally sovereign. Set your boundaries, reclaim your crown. This is your moment. Seize it.